most important thing that I thought I gotta do is earn their respect.
Mm.
Of course, respect them back. And if I have if I have their respect, we can do things together. We can achieve great things together.
You're listening to Creative Leadership with Heart, a podcast that inspires people to take action and be the leader they were born to be. I'm Coach Rico, and I'm known for coaching and training executives, leaders, founders, and high performers at Fortune 100 businesses, startups, and more. I'm here to answer your questions about leadership and personal development while also asking you questions that can unlock your untapped potential.
Official. All right, welcome to Creative Chutzpah. My name is Leonard Samuels. I've got Rico Nazal here, and our guest for today is Suren Galadjian. If you don't know who this gentleman is, he is responsible for some of your favorite illustrated posters that he has worked on with major agencies and studios. He's worked on The Fall Guy, maybe you've heard of it. He's worked on Hacks Season 3, Wolverine. I'm talking about the ones with the painting, and it's like this cool gouache and the
Watercolor.
watercolor Japanese style. Inherent Vice, Mary Poppins Returns, Alien Covenant, and Jungle Cruise, just to name a few. He's been the lead supervisor for his illustration department that he worked at a previous agency or the current agency. We'll get into all that fun stuff. And excited to have you on with us today. Suren, how are you?
Pleasure is mine to be here with you guys. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Excited to get you in.
Yeah, doing well, thank you.
Can you tell us, Soren, a little bit about yourself, your backstory, how you got to where you are today?
For sure. I'll do my best. So I was born in Armenia, and I grew up there during Soviet time. And from very young age, I loved drawing, painting, sculpting. That was kind of like my best pastime activity, not having video games, not having access to a lot of toys and whatnot. That was my entertainment. I would just sit there and draw and, sculpt things out of clay and plasterine and, you know, sort of make my own toys. And so eventually I had family friend who stopped by one day. He was an artist. And he looked at my work and said, you know what, you should go to art school. And this sounded like a lot of work to me at the time. I was, I think, 12, and from beginning, I was kind of resisting that idea. My dad was super excited. He jumped on board. He's like, "Yep, I'm gonna go find, the school and sign him up and all that stuff." So he started with that process. The whole time I'm dreading, not wanting to do it. And the artist, Serge, his name was, he said, "Listen, art is gonna be your bread and butter. No matter what you do, that's how you're gonna make money one day." I'm like, "Yeah, right." Because the stories we hear growing up is that, at least back in the old world, nobody pays for art. Uh, Artists are always, starving artists
Yeah,
exist
starving artist for a
everywhere.
reason.
Yeah. And so I was like, one, I'm not going to be able to utilize it. And two, it's going to take my time from like playing with my friends after school. I was so against it. Eventually, I ended up
Friends.
going. You're 12. That's all you want to do, right? You just
Yeah.
want to have fun.
Yeah.
What was the thing that changed your mind, or was there? At,
I kind of had no choice. My dad was like, "No, you got to go. This is something important. You have to do this." And eventually, I gave up and stopped the resistance and went to the school. And as soon as I walked in there, I was like, "Man, I feel like I'm home. I belong here. This is fun. Look at all this, art on the walls, and everybody's, artists, young artists." So instantly I changed my mind. I was like, "Nope, I want to be here. And it just started the art, learning art, expanding on what I already have kind of developed on my own, which wasn't much. So this was art academy. So they were very hands-on, a lot of traditional drawing and painting, honing on your skills. And so it just started from that point on. It was for 4 years. I did the art school. I graduated, and at that point, my family had an opportunity to immigrate to U.S. They it was their chance to escape the communist Soviets. So we got here, California. I'm 16, and I was actually a little bit over 16. I had no knowledge of what to expect, because living during the Soviet time, Iron Curtain was so heavy that you don't know much. There isn't much we know about what goes on outside of Soviet um, territory. So it was like very eye-opening experience and big challenge, dealing with not knowing language. Language barrier was like number one sort of biggest challenge I faced. And went into high school, started Hollywood High, and it just pretty much kind of started rolling from that point on. I met my second mentor, my excuse me, my art teacher in high school, Mr. Medine, Daryl Medine, and he's he was truly the guy that pushed me to achieve everything that I've achieved until today. He was that guy that would always find things and send me to places, make me participate in competitions, art competition or whatever. If there was any, weekend art programs, he will always have me go and participate. And I wasn't thinking much. I'm like, he knows something. He says go, I'll go do it and see what comes up. And which is how I got into movie advertisement agency. It was because of him, because of the connections that he got for me. I found BLT. Prior to um, finding out about BLT, I had no clue that there is such thing as movie advertisement. I mean, yes, I did see posters in the past, but I didn't think that, there's actual industry for that. I thought it was, they take a screenshot from the movie and they put a type on it. It just never crossed my mind that this
Yeah.
would be industry. And growing up, I had actually no plan of being in this industry. I wanted, for the most part, I wanted to do um, comic books,
Hmm.
video game art, and car design. I mean, these are like the typical things that every Illustrator arts student will, want to do because it's out there, it's fun, you see it, and you're like, man, this is fantastic. I do want to do that. And but it didn't work out that way. I got into this industry, and um, even though in the beginning I thought this was a transitional thing, that I'm just starting out, something that I'm doing right now, but eventually I'm gonna get into, video game or something. But I realized that the reality was that this is it, this was what I was meant to do
Yeah.
because I like my personality was that I liked experimenting with different art styles, learning new things. sculpting, painting, drawing, whatever, doing something different every day. And I realized this industry was exactly that. It gave me that opportunity to just try a bunch of different things, and having challenges that are like, okay, here's this artwork. Can you do something similar? And then trying to decipher that, how does this artist figure out the problems, and then trying to figure them out and then do my own version of that, which is what that Wolverine poster was. The client's request was to do a sumi brush ink artwork, right? And the first image that came to my head was sumi brush is mostly writing, there, and I'm like, how do you translate that into, image of Wolverine, of Hugh Jackman? So I I took my dry ink. I actually had a dry ink and ink grinding stone with some sumi brushes. So I started grinding ink, making it the way traditionally, they do it. And then just started experimenting. And then it was out of that experiment, I realized that, well, this is sort of like a mixture of what watercolor was, which was my initial training at art school in Armenia. A lot of heavy on watercolor. And there it was, I just started doing quick little almost gestural lines, and that artwork was about 10-minute long to finish it from start to finish.
Wow.
And of course it wasn't perfect. I had made some adjustments here and there, and then did some Photoshop tweaking.
Yeah.
And
For something that's 10 minutes, for everybody, all the viewers, that's years of practice for 10 minutes.
you know what? Yes, you're right. You're right. It was all that you know traditional academy style training that came through,
Yes, academy, yes, academy
Yeah.
level.
remembering all those steps,
Just to reiterate, right? So like people aren't paying you for 10 minutes of your time. They're paying you for 30, 40 years of honing your craft to
Yeah.
do it in 10 minutes. So for those listening, don't think that you can go to Suren and say like, dude, you only spent 10 minutes on that. No, he spent 20, 30 years perfecting his craft to do it in 10 minutes. And that the fact that you had all those things and you just like went old school and traditional and just started playing with those things. I have a follow-up question because that's amazing. When you're commissioning a piece or someone's going asking you to do something, how do you approach it? Like what are your first things? What are the first things you think about when someone says, I want you to do a piece for me?
A lot of times during the conversation, I'll have an idea. I have to have the vision about how this is going to all go down, how I'm going to approach it. And if I don't have that vision in that initial stage, I know it's not going to be successful. But for the most part, um, it always works. It always like, it's always there. I see what I'm gonna do. I see how I'm gonna get to the finished product, and it has worked every single time.
Is there a
Nice. And you,
medium
you see
that,
you, oh yeah,
oh,
go
go
ahead,
ahead,
Leonard.
Rico.
And I was gonna say you do a lot of experimenting, right? So what drives that? Like how do you know what to play with and what because and when clients make a request, it's sort of like in the margins. Where do you decide I'm gonna go outside the margins? Because like it could be so much more.
Of course, it depend on the project. Every project will be different. Um, for the most part, I kind of with go the extra mile, no matter what, and it pays off. What's going to be the most effective and efficient way of showing something? And at the end of the day, I know that whatever I do, I have to like it myself. I have to know that I'm doing something cool. I have to kind of enjoy the process and not lie to myself that, oh, I'm just doing it to get paid. No, I got to do it. I got to do a good job. If I don't like it, I can't expect anybody else to like it. And, you know, which I think is an important for a creative, you know, don't cut corners. No
Yeah, it's
shortcut.
like
Yeah,
pride of
totally.
work, right?
Yeah.
And I know that you do beyond fine art, you do 3D rendering and digital painting and all that good stuff. Do you have a preferred medium?
Um, Quite honestly, recently I've been really liking the 3D. That's because I always liked sculpting. I started out drawing, but sculpting was always like 50-50 for me. And the ZBrush 3D comes so close to that.
Yeah.
And it's so instant. The gratification is so fast because you have an idea, you have this creative moment. Just open the program, jump in, and start creating something without worrying about, oh, do I have enough clay? Do I have enough wire for the armature or the base, so on and so forth. There's none of that, um, none of that block that's gonna like stop you from being creative. So it has been um, amazing, and I enjoyed as much as drawing. But to say I prefer one over the other, I don't think I can do that because I think I enjoy both equally, 3D and drawing.
Yeah, you're able to
Yeah.
meld them and use that mixed media.
And they're just
And
different expressions, right?
Yeah.
yes, they are. And I
Artistry.
think one kind of complements the other. And this goes back to what I said earlier about trying different things, liking to experiment with different things. Because like if I'm drawing for the longest time, then all of a sudden I'm like, I gotta do some 3D just to take me out of that, you know, monotone drawing with the, black and white drawing all the time. I'll do something three-dimensional. And then vice versa, then I'll go back into painting colors, different media or so on and so forth. So it's just I like breaking things up and um doing different things. If luckily my work uh kind of does that for me. There's always a project that comes in where it'll ask for that, like, oh, this will require this, that will require that, and I'm like, perfect, I'll jump in and have fun. If not, I'll do something on my own, which doesn't happen all that often because, it's like the work kind of satisfies that hunger of doing all kinds of different um, type of art, 3D or
And,
drawing or painting.
and coming into BLT, and for those who don't know, BLT is, was and is one of the biggest agencies that's out there for entertainment marketing. Uh, you came in green, then you just rise to the levels of lead supervisor. Like, how does that happen in your story?
Yeah, so I came in as an intern. As a matter of fact, it was a job training program in high school that I was part of, and they said you have to go find a location where you want to work, and school will pay minimum wage for 20 hours a week or something, and you get a training. Amazing program they did at the time. So I went to BLT and I said, look, this is the situation. You don't have to pay me. I'll just, spend next next 3 months or something like that. And uh, they said, sure, you can come and hang out, learn. And I started my internship, went in there and, kind of trying to figure things out. I had no clue what was going on. And um, I hung out with their illustrator, Gregory Workiton, fantastic illustrator. And he was doing his beautiful drawings, and I would go kind of like, you know, do my shoulder surfing, see what he does. And It was my first introduction to computers. I have never seen that level of computers anywhere. Schools didn't have that for sure. All of a sudden there's a nice big Macintosh computer with
You mean they
Photoshop.
didn't have the wooden benches for you in the illustration room?
And the slow I wasn't drawing, I wasn't illustrating in the beginning. When I got hired after the internship, they hired me as part of production, and that included pretty much doing everything else other than drawing. Errands, go do the lunch, dinner orders,
Yeah. You know your way around a Super 77 can
pretty much. Yeah,
and
I
mounting boards.
I smelled quite a bit of that. Chromatex, you name it. Like we did back in days, we did the presentation, everything was mounted.
Yep.
Had to do the logo and billing, Raban, um, Chromatex, and sometimes delivering to the client and
Oh yeah,
whatnot.
that's
So
fun.
I pretty much learned everything, all the technical stuff that took place in a company. And then one day Gregory was very busy with work. Was like a Van Damme movie. And he's like, listen, what are you doing this weekend? Can you come and help me Saturday just to like fill in the backgrounds? I know you draw. And I said, it was like opportunity that I always waited. I'm like, I
Yeah.
thought you never asked. So I jumped on that and I said, yes, I'll come. What time? You just give me time, I'll be there. Showed up early Saturday morning, super excited, and he already had it planned out. I was like, okay, here's the main figures drawn, just fill in the background. And he would like block things out, and I would go on top and tighten it and clean it, and do these little figurines. And so the project went pretty well. He was happy at the end of the day. As a matter of fact, he had brought another illustrator, a freelancer, to help out, which he wasn't very happy with. So he ended up letting this guy go, and he said, "You know what? You continue working." And following week, he had talked to BLT bosses, Clive and Don, and I guess mentioned that he was helpful. Maybe we should give him more projects like that. And then slowly it started. He would give me more and more illustration work, so I started kind of dividing my time between production, helping production, and then doing sketch. And then within a year or so, I think I transitioned fully to Illustrator, being an illustrator, no more production. And then there it was. I started having my own projects. He would trust me with a whole project instead of just doing backgrounds. It was just like, you do that, I'll do this. And that's how it went on for quite a bit of years. Um, and I did some freelance at some point, and I learned a lot more doing that. I met a lot of artists, illustrators in the industry, kind of gave me the confidence, all the knowledge that I needed to then take on my next challenge, which was running the department, starting the department, illustration department at BLT, and running it successfully. We had prior to that, we would do only black and white sketches, but things were changing, so we needed to adapt and do color, do digital art, and do some of it on a computer. And I did pretty much how I started. I went to local art school, the art college that I went to, and I asked around. I my some of my super instructors, and I said, I need some help. Any awesome artists that you recommend, send them my way. I want to train them. I want to hire
That's
them
smart. You just went
and
right outside and started
bring them
grabbing.
up,
Yeah.
because I believe like the good team is like you got to bring them up with you and train them, and you have a good team, they're going to help you, you
Yeah.
know. And so yeah, I was lucky enough to find amazing artists and bring them in and train them and work with them. Um, that's pretty much how it started. Eventually, one of the first guys that I hired, Walter, who came in as an intern as well.
Yeah. Walter's got
Um,
his own Joseph Campbell story now too. He's really stepped into his own. Hopefully
he
Walter's
ended up,
watching,
yeah,
by the
he
way.
ended up running the department. I ended up like
Ah,
stepping
spoiler
down.
alert. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I ended up stepping down because I reached a point where I decided that I want to kind of take it easy a little bit.
Yeah.
And because it is a high stress environment, and you need to kind of balance it well enough where this will be something you can do for a long period of time. It has to be sustainable. And
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
realized,
admit that was one of my favorite things to do when I was working at BLT with you guys is to go into, I think a lot of people will admit too, to go into the illustration, that fish tank room. It's just like it's organized chaos. You guys have so much stuff going through the pipeline, and
at the
it's
same
like, talk
time,
to this person, talk to this person, talk to this person, and they get to you, and it's like, already it's in process by the time we already get to you. Not, take anything away because it's you guys are efficient and it shows, obviously.
well, we had to be because industry demanded
Yeah.
to be efficient, that's one of the things I noticed over the years, how industry was just changing. Everything was, less time, less money, but more. We want more for less.
Yeah.
So,
And
and
and would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm an introvert for sure, and I think most artists are. Um, which I always make that joke about, that's the reason I chose art, because I can just be in my corner drawing, don't have to talk to
Yeah. And
people.
as an introvert getting into that leadership role, talk about that process.
Most important thing that I thought I got to do is earn their respect.
Mm,
Of course, respect them back. And if I have their respect, we can do things together. We can achieve great things together, and balance the friendship and coworker or a boss situation with them, where if you're too friendly, then they might take advantage of you being too nice, or you can't be too much of a boss, because then things will not flow as good. So that was the biggest challenge right there. But eventually, I guess through trial and error, I kind of found a happy medium where it just ended up working out. And of course, it depends on the people you work with. I just got lucky to have found amazing talent, amazing people that are just by nature so incredible, where they understood that as well. So we kind of worked really well as a team, and they didn't give me hard time, which was like, thank God. They're not gonna, give me hard
So
time about it.
yeah, so I love that you went straight to the source, right? Like at Netflix in my time there, that's what we started to do, right? Go straight to the source. But what is it that you looked for? Because you're right, there's that, especially with folks earlier in their career, there's that fine line of like friend, leader, right? And they don't know that yet because they're coming straight out of school. So what is it that you looked for in terms of talent or passion or demeanor that made you say like I can help mold this person? There's talent there, there's desire, whatever it is you look for, and you can mold them into whatever the team needed. So what is it that you looked for?
I looked for talent number one, but desire and um, willingness to go that extra mile was also very important. I met some students that would come in, and I would tell them, okay, I know you're in school and we don't expect much, but maybe you can intern for 10 hours a week or 12 hours a week. Walter did it, I did it. Of course, Walter would do 30 hours. I would pull in
How
35
dare you,
hours.
Walter, for being an overachiever and
You
now
know, I'm
taking
like,
over
I
a
know it's
department?
possible. You know, I've done it. It'll work. You know, hard
Yeah,
work.
that's
That's what you
amazing.
gotta do. But
Yeah,
no, but I'm
well
in
earned.
school. I can't do it. I'm in school. You know, so they weren't willing to, spend 5, 6 hours a week to come and learn, hang out. And I knew this person isn't gonna be the one that I go with because I can't rely on them, you know. But then somebody like Walter or Ben or a few of other other guys that just came from college, they were still in college, and you ask them, okay, how much time can you give me? They're like, well, how much time do you want? I already know they're talented because I've seen their work, and they're just willing. They're like, outside of my school work, I can come, I can hang out. That right there tells me that, this is the kind of people I want to work with because in case we have to stay late one day or project requires we come early or whatever, they're going to be there. They're not going to say, nah, I got a party to go to with my friends. Being in an industry that's so demanding, you need people that you can rely on, and yeah, those were the main things that I would look forward to. I mean, look for in a
Yeah.
person, in an
That,
illustrator.
that's a good segue because this is something that, I talked to a lot of people about, even Leonard, about like, yeah, that what is hard work versus almost like being taken advantage of. So how did you balance that? How did you create the balance or mental space to say like, if I have to work 12 hours, that's normal. Like, did you normalize it? Like, how did you navigate these, like the balance of work, life, school?
Early years, I think I had enough energy to do it, and I'm kind of glad I did it because it just molded me to be who I am today. Um, if there were times I was even like taking two projects, I would do my schoolwork and then BLT, whatever work I did during college years. And if somebody else called and said, hey, can you do some storyboards? Random filmmaker, I'm like, sure. So I would stay, overnight, sometimes till like 8 in the morning, and then go deliver the storyboards and then go to school back to BLT. Yes, I would be tired, that weekend. I would be like, okay, I want to do nothing this weekend. But I kind of pulled it off because I had enough energy. And I didn't let it bother me that, I am being taken advantage of. I saw it as it's experience, and in order to get to a certain point, you gotta go through a certain amount of training. Now, some people get there faster. For me, the more training I went through, the better I was getting, and I figured the more I do um hard work like this, when I'm young, when I have the energy, it'll better will be when I grow up and I'm a little bit older and I slow down. It'll be much easier then. And I kind of just relied on that, and it kept me going. That was my sort of um, formula, you know. And when I got older, I started, complaining and stuff like, okay, I have worked
It's
enough.
okay. You're allowed. You're
Yeah,
allowed.
Well, when
uh,
you're younger, right, you
yeah,
don't have as many
but
obligations, right?
Yeah.
but when you're young, put limitations. I just do everything you can, and don't say, okay, it's enough. Oh,
Hmm.
this is fine. I'm satisfied with what I've done, what I've achieved. No, be your worst critic and just push yourself to the limit.
And you talked about taking that step down. You obviously put in all necessary energy early. As you continue to put in what is needed, and I think that's also a great way to put it. In terms of there's only so much you can sacrifice as we continue to move forward,
Mhm.
and you made the conscious choice of stepping down. Why step down? Why change this rhythm in your life?
As I got older and I had, started my family, kids were getting older, and I realized I want to kind of slow down a little bit.
Mhm.
Number one, spend more time with my kids. I want to come home, not do as many late nights, or maybe no late nights, and bring down my stress level, and also give a chance to another younger person to take that challenge to go to the next level. And I was thinking, when it was my time to figure this out, I was the young person came in and I had all these ideas and whatnot, learning new things, so on and so forth. But as I got older, I'm like, I can do things, but maybe not as fast and not as efficient maybe as the a younger guy that's around the corner. If I give him a chance, he'll come in with fresh ideas, fresh mindset, and he'll do the same thing that I did back, whatever amount of years ago, but differently, but better, because like he will be thinking more outside the box now, and it's necessary, and luckily, I think working with BLT long enough, I think I had developed enough relationship where I could have done that. I could have just stepped down and continue working as an illustrator and have Walter take over, continue doing awesome job, and bringing his vision of how to do things. I thought that was also an important step. Giving somebody else that chance to
Yeah.
push forward. And
That's a big choice to and a big part of you to give that opportunity because some people will not let go of power if they could see it that way. They don't want to, make that room and they'll see as everybody as a threat, but I think that's great that also I know Walter and Walter's a really nice guy. For the biopic, we'll paint him as conniving from the beginning, like he just pegged you and he was like, I'm gonna get Suren. But he is a very genuine guy. But
appreciate it.
that's great that you made that room for the artist to even have a voice.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I said that's great that you made that room for artists to have that voice.
I think it was necessary,
Yeah.
it's a pay it back.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Pay it back.
Somebody did that for me when I was growing
Mhm.
up. Um, you never achieve anything by yourself. Everything you get to is with help of others. And so if we all do the same, yes, I had so many people that helped me throughout years to get there. Now I got to do it for all these younger guys that are, getting out and trying to make their mark, and I think it's important, especially as an artist. We're in an industry it's tough to get in. There's a lot of competition. Just give them that confidence to get in, do the job. Do an awesome job, and make something out of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing where, the competition, there's room for everyone, right? Because there's so many different, everyone has a different type of talent, different perspective, different approach, like all those things. So there's room enough for everyone. So the fact that you didn't take the hoarder mentality, right, is amazing. And yeah, like pay it forward as much as you can because if there was no entertainment industry, you wouldn't have had a job. If there was no one ever invented movie posters, you wouldn't have had a job. It's like somebody had to do all these things, put these things in place for us to be able to do the things that we do to support our family, to give us the lives we want, etc. So I love that perspective you take on like if you don't, and also if you're not cultivating the next generation, you don't want things to
Yeah.
die off either, right?
It goes
Hundred
with
percent,
you.
Yeah,
100%.
you can't
Yeah.
take it with you. So like,
No, there's no point.
yeah.
There's only so much I'm gonna do. We got to make sure it continues on.
Yeah, and not I don't want to speak for you, but I'm sure you don't want to be like 90 years old still like competing for posters for finishes. You know what I mean? You probably want to be like, yeah, I mentored hundreds of the next generation, they're making a name for themselves, and you'll feel pride in that.
You're right. I don't know if I'll reach 90, but if I do, yes, I do not want to I do not want to be working, but uh looking back and seeing the whoever I was able to help out and seeing them successful is is a is like feeling rich, feeling that I've achieved something good. I help people, and I think that's something to be happy about and be proud of, you know.
And as an artist, I can't have you on here without asking your hot take, because I know so many viewers are like, they better ask about AI. They better. What is your hot take on AI?
Um, it's a it's a transitional thing. It's another tool. Um, there are days I think I'm scared of it. There are days I think I use it and I use it to my advantage. As long as we don't let it as a society, if we don't let it overtake and control and steal our jobs, which I highly doubt will take place, um, then it's just a tool to motivate, to inspire. When you're having that writer block moment,
Mhm.
you can always use that to your advantage. Um, I do not, I'm not happy about how it's, you know, in some areas it has taken over certain jobs. And I think mostly concept art people have might have suffered the most because it's widely used for that. It steals a lot from what's been done before, and it kind of, you know, like it's so easy to, instead of hiring a concept artist, just have the AI come up with, robot with a dinosaur head, and it'll do that for you in what is it, like 30 seconds. So yeah, that aspect I'm not happy with because I think it takes away a lot of people's jobs. So if we as a society control it and use it as a tool to inspire, then fine. Otherwise, I'm against it. Am I threatened by it? Not really, because at the end of the day, all he does is take from something that has been already done, has been already
Yeah.
created, and then he collages
Mhm.
it with another thing that's been already created, and then he spits it out in a different way for you.
Yeah.
Human mind is creating from scratch.
Right.
I
Because I
don't
would
think it's
say, I would argue that the new artists would come in and they do a poster that's illustrated, and they'd come to you, a seasoned vet, and they'd say, "Look, my poster is just like your poster.
right.
I'm just like you."
That and I hope we don't get to that point. And I like what's happening in the industry where, the recent strike was kind of touching on this subject a little bit, which put it, it kind of gave people something to think about for the future. So yes, it messed up our jobs for a whole year, but there was some positive outcome out of it. So um, in that aspect, I think it was good. However, I always think that, you know, if creative will always be creative, because creative will start something from scratch. That's how human mind is, you know. Computer isn't like that. Computers can always rely on what the human mind comes up with first.
Yeah,
So
like
I
I
think we're
totally
still
agree.
safe.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like the thing that AI cannot replicate, at least won't think in my lifetime, is human emotion, human connection, and telling human stories, right? So
Absolutely.
sure, like ideas, outlines, like food for thought, sure, but But to tell a emotive story from a human perspective and adding that human emotion to it, that's what you're talking about, Sharon. Like when you build something from scratch, because it's a human expressing human emotions
Yeah.
into a piece of art, that AI is just like smashing, it's like crawling the internet and smashing stuff together for you. And like it's emotionless. And
It
it's
has no
like,
soul.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No soul. It's like, this looks a little bit like this person with this person.
That's
And
I couldn't have said it better. That's exactly it.
one of the fun questions, thank you for answering the harder ones, but one of the fun ones we like to lean into is someone that doesn't know you. Do you have a hidden guilty pleasure or a hobby that you enjoy?
Well, that's right back here.
Yay, we get to talk
That's one of
about it.
my
I was gonna dial you into it and say, no, 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 that one behind you.
yeah, no, this has been my a hobby that kind of came out of being stressed out work
Oh,
situation. And when I was the supervisor and had very stressful weeks or whatnot, I would look forward to getting away, um, getting in my car, going somewhere where I'm under stars, and kind of, it's almost like as if I was charged with a lot of negative emotions and negativity, and I needed to go discharge and then refill with positive vibes, and then come back and be ready for the following week. So I started doing off-roading, which was a great medicine for me. You know, I found that to be a fantastic way of just getting that recharge, going into nature, sometimes alone, and then I discovered astrophotography, which combined my artistic, love for art photography. I also love photography, um, so it kind of combined all of it together. And I love telescopes, love astronomy, and astrophotography was just that, you know, just combines everything in one. So I started diving into it. I found a clique, just a couple of like-minded people that I can go with. You know, we just go and set up our rig and wait until it's dark. And yeah, a lot of times we're quite far from civilization because we want to go in a really nice dark area where there's no light pollution and just sit there where, there's no sound. Um, and it's just you, your telescope, maybe a cup of
which is
tea.
not a normal telescope, by the way, right? Because normal telescope will just pick up the stars. This is beyond that.
They it's not just regular telescope that you'll buy. Let's say you go to Best Buy or something and they have a
Yeah.
$150 telescope. Obviously, that's not going to work. You got to put some time, research, and figure out what rig you're going to build. These are computerized telescopes, so we I connect my iPad now,
Oh, wow.
and it used to be with the laptop, but now it's with the iPad, and there's a little computer box on there that controls the whole telescope. There's like a list of targets that will be available for that day, and the iPad will show everything, the software. And so you click on whatever target you want to be photographing that evening, and it will slew the telescope to that, find the target,
Wow.
Holy cow.
and because everything moves, your telescope moves with it. And it then the camera is attached and everything, and then you just press the button, camera starts recording or taking pictures, multiple pictures throughout the night. A lot of times we'll do this procedure all the way till 4 in the morning. After that, that's like a cutoff line because then the sky starts getting lighter.
Hmm.
And and get a little bit of sleep, wake up in the morning, drive back.
Yeah. But then you
Nice.
have these really beautiful photos.
Yeah, I bet you it's amazing photos and amazing B-roll if you ever were to edit something. I'm sure you got some great video too.
Sometimes you get surprised, like all the stuff you get, like, oh my God, I didn't know this was possible. Every time I see it, I get every single time is like pleasant surprise because there's no preview a lot of times because if it's a single shot, the preview is so dim. There's not much detail there. But then you bring all this, you know, 20 or 30 images that you have accumulated overnight and you compose it into one image and then all kinds of detail comes out and then it's just a surprise every time. It's like opening a gift
Nice.
every time.
So, Suren, if people wanted to get in touch with you and work with you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Email probably is the best way. That's something that I look through every day, answer every day. My cell phone is probably not the best. I do get a lot of junk calls and I have do not
Yeah.
answer thing on. So if it's a number I don't recognize, I don't pick up.
What about
But,
LinkedIn or like Instagram or anything like that? Because I'd be hesitant to put your phone number or your email out in the ethos.
oh yeah, LinkedIn is another one. LinkedIn is another one. I don't go on there all the time, but
Okay.
once in a while. Usually, I think you get an email, right? If you have a message,
Yeah, usually you will. You
LinkedIn,
get
you
some
get an email. Yeah.
notification. Yeah.
So that'd probably be a good one, you know.
Nice.
Well,
And
thank
I
you
do have
so
my Instagram page, which is public, and there's some artwork on there. I don't put a lot of artwork, but there's some on there, and also some astrophotography stuff that I have
Nice.
posted
But if you're up for it, we'll definitely share those links on in the show notes so people can follow you and even take a sneak peek at some of those like stargazing shots that you got.
for sure.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for hopping on with us on this episode of Creative Chutzpah. And it definitely it takes chutzpah to be creative, and you are incredible. So really, thank you so much
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
for making space, especially and being an artist that's making space. Thank you, BLT, for making space for you and also for me because I used to also work there as well. But you're currently active, so only good things. And then also good luck to Walter. Way to earn that space, and all the other artists around as well because I know you guys have an incredible team and continue to have an incredible team to work with. And thank you to Rico for also being part of this
Thank you, Rico.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great having you. Thank you. I always love talking creative. So anytime I get to, I always get excited by it.
Well, we'll see you guys on the next episode of Creative Chutzpah. And thank you all and have a great rest of your day. See ya.
Later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Creative Leadership with Heart. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe. If you're ready to make huge, lasting change in your life, then what are you waiting for? What will your life look like if you took action today? What would it look like if you didn't? If you're serious and you're ready, book your free strategy session today and let's make your future a reality.